Coming up on today's Locked On Senators, it's time for a great debate. Who has the most value among all Ottawa Senators players?
And it's time for another SensCentral Citizen. This time it's Dillon, and we'll find out how he became a Sens fan in the state of Minnesota.
Great state of hockey. Looking forward to that conversation. And the Senators put out a press release officially letting Trent Mann go. And it was shorter than this intro. All that's coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 844 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. We're also free and available on YouTube. A reminder that Locked On Senators is in summer mode, so we are having new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is Wednesday, July 19th, and Pillzy, let's get the long and short out of the way. Trent Mann officially let go. Announced today by the Ottawa Senators, announced last week by Bruce Garriock in the Ottawa Sun. Your thoughts on the very concise press release?
Well, Ross, I'll keep this short and sweet. Not a whole lot of meat on the bone on that press conference. It was just a simple one statement from Pierre Dorion. We're thankful for Trent's contributions to the Senators and wish him the best going forward. I mean, I feel like that's essentially a hallmark greeting card for firing someone. And that's as quick and to the point as it gets. And it doesn't really tell us anything. I'm not even sure why they bothered to do this.
Well, I think they felt kind of pressured because reporters were on the track. By the way, we have to note the end at the bottom is kind of, I mean, we're not laughing. I mean, a guy lost his job, and Trent Mann, by all accounts, is a very well-respected man in not only the Senators hockey operations department, but around the National Hockey League. He had served in a full-time capacity with the Senators since 2016. And even that is like trying to cut him short because he was a scout with them since 2011. Like they're just trying to rip off the first 5 years because it was considered part-time. Like, I don't know. I think that there's still a ton of contribution that he was able to accomplish in that time. So anyways, just unfortunate situation. The dysfunction continues where it's just like all these quiet departures. It doesn't really add up. Like a lot of teams have turnover. Don't get me wrong. But we put out a tweet just being like trying to remember names, and like there's just so many. Like Trent Mann. Remember McTavish? I can't even remember his first name. He was in and out so quickly. Pierre Maguire was here less than a year. Daniel Alfredson, when he joined the front office, was here less than a year. Jim Little lasted like 2 months as the chief business operations. Amy DeZiel in marketing left. Nick Rutkowski left. Most recently, Anthony LeBlanc resigned as well. So anyways, there's a long list. It's unfortunate, but we do wish Trent Mann all the best. Troy Mann as well, right? We liked him. I'm just trying to make it.
And we're thankful for his contributions. Don't forget that, Ross.
Yes, we are. I mean, he's the man who is the head of drafting the two players who we're about to get into a heated debate on who is the most valuable Ottawa Senator. Let us know in the comments. We want to hear your reasoning for which one. You have anything else to say, or should we end the Trent Mann conversation there?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I'll just kind of echo what you said. It
smells like the canal.
What?
It smells like the canal.
Not good?
Not good.
Not good. Okay. I can't say I've smelt the canal recently.
Oh, you don't have to go too close. You could be a block away.
All right. Next time I'm kayaking on my way to Ottawa, I'll give it a sniff. But I do want to say that, yes, like both the Manns, I feel like they deserve better than how things shook out for them. That's where I'll end off here.
Yes, that's fair. And Brent Wallace has been all over this story as well. He said he'd like to comment more on this, but out of respect to the people who still work there that are fearing for their jobs, I will wait until Pierre Dorion is gone. So Brent Wallace is loading the clip and ready to fire when the time comes. Of course, we're not privy to the inside information about how things work. We get an odd snippet here and there. The one thing I will say that we've been continuously told is that Trent Mann was not fired for anything performance related. I know you look at the 2021 draft, and a lot of people do and say, hey, that was tough. You don't even sign your second round pick. You traded back because you thought you had your guy. But anyways, it was not performance related, and there's a lot of good coming with that as well. All right, Pillzy, I'm fired up for this debate. Let's get into it. Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk. It's pretty clear, right? I didn't do any spoilers there. Those are the two guys who the debate is who the most valuable player in the organization is.
Although I agree, and that's what we're doing here, but I don't think it's too crazy to have Jake Sanderson looking at this debate. Like he's not at the table, but he's in the room of this discussion.
Who else is in that tier then? Is it a tier where it's just Brady and Timmy at 1, and then like Sanderson to you, he's moved all the way up at 3? I think just for the sake of letting people know where we were last summer, and again the value rankings are coming soon. We actually moved him down last summer, Pillzy. Like Sanderson moved down 3 spots last summer.
Yeah, but that was a matter of guys coming in and jumping up rather. Like that was a matter of guys being promoted rather than Sanderson being demoted.
Okay. I mean, he was 4th in 2020, 4th in 2021, and then last year, for some reason, we put him at 7. Injuries, I guess, took a bit of a toll, right? He missed a lot of his sophomore year at North Dakota, but I think it's fair for I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. I think there's also an argument, and you got to wonder, where's the guy who was 1st in 2020 and 1st in 2021 on our rankings? And some of that was the contract. But are we getting to a point where it's almost a make or break year with Thomas Chabot as well?
I mean, yes and no. Like I think
if Shabby puts up 70 points this year, he could be in the conversation with Timmy and Brady.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a big if. 70 points is a lot, and Tom Chabot unfortunately has had injury concerns at the end of the season, and that's when he's needed most, especially for this Ottawa Senators team making playoffs. No excuses.
Just for a completeness sake, 8 defensemen reached 70 points this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think with Jake Sanderson emerging as great of a player that he already is, the expectation and the need for Thomas Chabot to be that guy has been minimized. So I'm not saying Thomas Chabot can't or won't be that guy. I'm just saying he doesn't need to be that guy anymore.
That's fair to an extent. I also want to see what the situation is with Jacob Chychrun having a full training camp, having him in the mix. Like it feels like eons ago, but Nikita Zaitsev was a member of this Ottawa Senators team at this time last year and beyond. Like that to me just feels like a whole different era. And I can't wait to understand a year from now with the ownership change and more changes coming, what the next era will feel like. But the two guys who are leading them into this next era are Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle. So that was a bit of an honorable mentions. Coming up after the break, we will get into this debate, and then we'll do our SensCentral Citizen in our 3rd segment today, because I'm raring to go here, Pillzy.
Oh, wow. We're mixing it up here. The summer's here, and we're throwing things in the blender. This is a surprise to me even, so okay.
It's coming up next. You're listening to Locked On Senators.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, you know FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, and they are America's #1 sportsbook. Not a big deal. And if you want to bet on baseball, there's no better place to do it than on FanDuel. I was at the Jays game last night. Looney Dogs, an absolute vibe. I had a couple.
How many did you have?
I got to 4. I think I could have got. I think 6 is probably my max. 4, I was still feeling good. I think if I had a 5th one, I'd start not feeling so great. But the Looney Dogs, I think there was over 70,000 sold. So like it is, if you haven't been, go, that's for sure. And we'll set over-unders for everyone for eating hot dogs at the Jays game. But if you want to bet on more than eating hot dogs, Well, you could have done that on July 4th also, speaking of which, on FanDuel. They have so much fun things you can bet on. But if you want to bet on money line, over-unders, players to hit a home run, whatever you want, you can do it on FanDuel. And you can take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. So, math guy, $20, you'll land $200 in bonus bets. But here's the key: win or lose. And it's all on an app that's safe, simple, secure, easy to use. I've said it once, I'll say it again. It's the best sportsbook app out there. If you don't believe me, try other ones and you will be coming back to FanDuel, I promise you. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. You know how we feel about our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. You can find them in the heart of the Glebe on Bank Street, 779 Bank Street, and you will go there for good vibes. You will go there to cheer on Atletico Ottawa, who is improbably just flying up the Canadian Premier League standing. So you can go check out some footy. Great watch parties there. If you're going down to a Red Blacks game, no better place to get prepped for it than the Glebe Central Pub. They've got live music. They've got beers of the day. Follow them on social media to get all the up-to-date information. You can find them at Glebe Central Pub on Instagram and Twitter. And they're also always available for you until late at 779 Bank Street. Make sure you let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. The vibes are high, the beer is cold, and the food is great at the Glebe Central Pub. So go check them out. Lots of great interactive events, from trivia night. They also have, I mentioned the live music, but they also have battle bots. They've had speed dating before. They are all about the community at Glebe Central Pub. Wait for the shuttles. They're coming. Sens season around the corner. Go check them out. Glebe Central Pub. Glebe Central Pub. It's in the heart of the Glebe. Check them out. 779 Bank Street. All right, Pillzy, switching up the whole entire flow of the show.
Whoa.
And you can follow the show on Twitter at SensCentral, on Instagram, lockedon.senators, and please subscribe on YouTube. All of our interviews, all of our episodes live there forever. So if you hear an episode, maybe there's something that feels like visually you want to see, whether it's a reaction or a graphic, you can check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast.
Or Ross, if you want to check out my sweet Sens gnome. Look at that guy.
What a troll.
No, he is a gnome. I'm making it very clear this is a gnome. So
those eyes are very creepy.
Yeah. He's watching. He's
the longest serving member of the Sens front office.
Yeah, he hasn't been fired yet. He keeps his mouth shut. That's what we like about him.
Yeah, eyes open, mouth shut. That's the way to do it. Hey, let's get into this debate. We've been teasing it now for a little while. I'll just ask you point blank. Who is the most valuable member of the Ottawa Senators players?
I know you're looking for a quick, bold point blank, but I want to start this.
No room for any sort of, what do you say? Not nuisance. Nuance. Thank you.
Okay, fine.
Do we have a word of the day?
Maybe we had a almost word of the day before that ended up blowing up in your face.
Nuance, the subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound. The nuances of facial expression and body language. Word of the day.
Is that the word we're looking for here?
Or maybe it's the verb. Gives nuances to. The effect of the music is nuanced by the social situation of listeners.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that's better. So anyways, no nuance. We're going at it.
Are you going to give me an exemplatory description here?
And I would never. So who is the most valuable Ottawa Senator? It's Tim Stützle.
No, it's not.
It's Tim Stützle. Ross, quick. Well, first, who is your answer before I get into mine?
The captain, the guy who Tim Stützle would tell you the most valuable player is on the team.
Hey, fair. That's a fair start to this. But Ross, I want to do quick factor fiction style here. Tim Stützle is the most talented player on the team. Factor fiction.
Correct.
No, I didn't say correct or incorrect. Let's try it again. Tim Stützle is the most talented player on this team. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
Thank you. The number one centerman is the most valuable position, is the most valuable forward on any hockey team. Fact or fiction?
You almost made me.
I know. I read my note wrong.
Your goalie friendly card.
That was close. Hey, I didn't say it.
It's correct.
Okay, that's a good start for me. Do you have some fact or fictions you want to rhyme off here? I'll give you the opportunity.
Does the leader of the team have a C on their jersey typically?
Yes.
Okay, so there's that. Beyond that, I mean, we're going to get into basically the same that Sens fans had over years, where it's like Alfredsson, Carlson. Like, that's what this has become.
It's similar. It's similar. It's not the same, but it's similar.
Well, I don't think Alfredsson had 83 points when he was 22 years old either. So maybe he's more talented. But no, in all seriousness, I think you can make a great debate for either side here. But
no, we said we weren't going to do that. You're nuancing now.
Yeah, fine. Okay, no, Brady's number one. There's no doubt in my mind that Brady Tkachuk is the most valuable player on this team. He brings this team into.
You went quickly from blanketing like, you could do either one to there's no doubt in my mind. I like it. That's the gear we're shifting towards.
Yeah, yes. we're shifting to this gear. And if there's a war, whose side do you want to be on? Brady Tkachuk or Tim Stützle?
I mean, Brady Tkachuk, definitely. That's a foxhole guy you want in your foxhole for sure.
There's something else I could say. I'm not going to say it. Brady Tkachuk, though, also is going to produce more offense than I think anyone's already expected at this point of the year. Not only is Tim Stützle just coming out bursting offensively is what I'm trying to say, but Brady Tkachuk, year after year, the last 2 seasons now, has not only set career highs, but he has destroyed his previous career highs. We know he's a unicorn type player as well. One of the only players in NHL history to have over 80 points and 100 penalty minutes in the same season. He led this team in fight. He led this team in just overall production when it comes to, getting into the dirtiest areas of the ice. And he's just, to me, the guy who you build around and you need him, or else this team, like what would this team have done after November if Brady wasn't there? Like, he willed them out of that slump when they were in bad. And yeah, maybe he didn't get them out early enough. Clearly, this team hasn't made the playoffs under his leadership.
You can't do it all though.
No, but like he came out. I actually want to find his numbers during that stretch, because remember the Anaheim game, he got into a fight with it wasn't even someone he should have fought, but they took a big hit on Jake Sanderson. I think it was Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome caught Sanderson from behind, and Brady's like, no, we're going. And from that moment forward, to me, that was kind of a turning point. He scored a goal in that game as well. And then over the next stretch of games, I mean, he just exploded offensively up until that Chicago game, right? He had 44 points in 43 games, was a plus player, 54 penalty minutes. Like, to me, when they needed him most to get out of that stretch, and I can even make it a more short-sighted one where up until, let's say, the new year, right? He was up at, point per game guy. Anyways, I just think that what he lacks in the overall points that Tim Stützle can put up, he makes up for in all the things that, plug your ears analytics, folks, but the intangibles that he brings to the game.
Yep, those are all great points, and I'm willing to hear all those, and I agree with you on that. Should I hit you with my main crutch, the main support, the main pillar of my argument?
The main pillar, I like that. We got a new segment alert.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. And I don't know, maybe this isn't fair because it's based on the future, but it's still a part of who they are and why they bring value. So my main point, that I looked at this and I was like, this is the reason why Timmy is more valuable than Brady. He has 3 more years on his deal than Brady. Now you can say, well, that's not really fair. Like, Brady is older. He had to sign earlier, whatever. That's all fair and good. But Timmy's only 21 right now. Those 3 extra years on his deal that he has, he'll be 26, 27, and 28. Arguably the prime of his career. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay, thank you. Now, the value of $8.35 million in his prime years will be huge when you consider where the cap will be in that time. And Brady will have signed his second contract, and Brady's going to get paid again for that second contract, especially if the cap goes where it's going to. And I don't think it's too crazy to say that Timmy's going to be consistently getting over 100 points in those years in his prime, 26, 27 years old. He got 90 points last year, and his contract is just starting. So I just think that the fact that you're going to get this guy in his prime at 8.35, like 8.35 is a steal for Timmy right now. Right now, it's a steal. So when the cap's going up, the percentage of the cap that he's going to have at 8.35 is going to be incredible. It's going to be his prime, and he's going to be getting, I'm very confident, much more points than 90 points at that time. So that's the main reason I looked at these two players, and I was like, that 3-year window where Timmy's going to still be in this contract in his prime is going to be insane. Like, that might be one of the best value contracts in the league at that time.
It might already be one of the best.
That's what I'm saying. Already it is, but the cap's going to go up and he's going to get better. So the value is going to be extraordinary.
Could you imagine Brady Tkachuk Tim Stützle having to wear the 3D Sens jersey?
I mean, he sort of did in the reverse retro, but not fully.
He would have been on a line, and I know he started his career with Derek Stepan and Evgeny Dadonov. And I know that Brady got to play with Mark Stone for a good portion of his rookie season, but Timmy got to miss probably the worst year in Senators history. And I just wonder what Brady Tkachuk's, because we're already seeing it now. He's like catching up after a little bit of slow and steady in the second year. There wasn't that. He had the exact same amount of points second year and first year.
I think he had one less goal though, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So what would the progression have looked like if he got to play with Matt Duchene and Mark Stone that second year, where instead of improving year over year, he had to go like basically back to basics and like carry a line at 19 years old, whereas Timmy was able to kind of slide in under Josh Norris for at least the first year when Norris scored 35, and he was able to kind of really spread his wings, starting on the wing, then moving to center, whereas Brady got thrown into the fire. He was the top line left wing game one of his NHL career. Yeah. Like, there was just no protection for him. So I think he was just kind of left for the Wolves. And I think that, like I said, it all comes down to how you perceive value, because I can't argue that Timmy's not more talented. Like, Brady would tell you Timmy's more talented, and Timmy would tell you Brady's the better player just because of everything, the full package that you're getting. So
that's why it's a good debate.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm curious to know what the fans think. We put out a poll on Twitter. It actually got a ton of.
Where's that poll at now?
Yeah, it's over, so that's why I didn't promote it already. I'm just scrolling down to get it. But I want to say it ended up being 62% in favor. I've got it. That was a different poll here. We're poll guys. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter at SensCentral is where you can find the show. You can also follow on Instagram, LockedOn.Senators. And we have it right here, July 8th, over 3,200 votes. What's your guess at how this poll ended?
I'm going to say Timmy 60-40.
It was pretty much 60-40 for Tim Stützle. It was 61% Timmy. It was 38% Brady Tkachuk, and 0.7 said other. And we had some write-ins saying it's Thomas Chabot, because if this team is going to have value as a team, Thomas Chabot needs to be in this conversation. But I think more than not, people are understanding that it's Timmy and Brady's team.
Yeah.
Now, to end this debate, let's end this debate after our SensCentral Citizen, because I want to get into something pretty specific with that, but we'll talk about it after our SensCentral Citizen. Let us know in the comments who you think the most valuable member of the Senators organization is, and stay tuned in August after my wedding. So August 15th, we'll start it. It's going to be the organizational value ranking countdown, one of the favorite things we look forward to on this show. That's all later this summer, but next, it's our SensCentral Citizen. You're listening to Locked On Senators. Today's episode is brought to you by Shawarma Palace. It's my happy place. It's Shawarma Palace. Pillzy and I were just in Ottawa, and of course, we made multiple stops at Shawarma Palace. It's fulfillment, it's delicious, it's fresh, it's Shawarma Palace. You can find them at any of their 7 locations in Ottawa. Plus, make sure you're following them on social media, because you never know where the Shawarma Palace van is going to be. They were at Hope Volleyball last weekend. You can always find out where they are by following Shawarma Palace Ottawa on Instagram. They're also on Twitter, but you can find them at the Saint Laurent Shopping Center on Innis Road, on Bank Street by Hunt Club, on Bank Street by the Queensway, also Rideau Street by Augusta. They're also on Woodruff and in Orleans and at the Carleton University campus. So you're never too far away. Get the platter, get the extra garlic. You will not regret it. It is the best value meal in Ottawa. There's no doubt about that. And you can also order them on Uber Eats. So check out Shawarma Palace, any of their great locations today. Shawarma Palace, Ottawa. Eat like a king. Eat at Shawarma Palace. All right, now let's get to this week's SensCentral Citizen. We're going to Minnesota. Here is Dillon. All right, we now welcome on this week's SensCentral Citizen. We're going just west of the Twin Cities down in Minnesota to bring on Dillon Di Giacomo. Dillon, what's going on, man? Welcome to Locked On Sens.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's good to see you. Good to be here.
Man, so you're at work right now, rocking maybe
Yep.
the most swaggest shirt I've ever seen. Where did you get your hands on that thing?
This is one of my favorite eBay pickups.
Nice.
I think I got it on auction for like $4.99, something like that. So super cheap, but I think it came from Stützle. So
Oh, classic. There we go.
Yeah, I think it's my concession shirt. We'll go with that, or the bowling shirt, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, looks good. That's for sure. So, as we do with every SensCentral Citizen, let's get into it. How did you become a Sens fan?
Yeah, so my parents are actually from Toronto, and my brother and I were born in Ottawa when they moved to when they moved to Ottawa in the later 90s. And my brother was born before I was. Both of us born in Nepean. My dad was raised a Leafs fan. My mom and her family weren't big hockey people, but if you asked her, they'd probably say the Leafs too. So can't really get away from that, but moved to Ottawa, and me and my brother were born, and then just kind of naturally just became Sens fans because we're a big hockey family. So my dad is converted to a Sens fan now, if
Nice.
those are wondering. So that is he still has his Leafs jerseys from back in the day, but you won't hold too much against that. He's from there. So
No, not at all. So when did you move to Minnesota?
So we actually moved from Ottawa to Portland, Oregon, and that's where I mainly grew up. We grew up there from 2002 to 2009, and then from Oregon we moved to Minnesota in 2011. So we've been here ever since.
Have you gotten to see the Sens play in Minnesota at all?
I have a couple times. I have some good stories about seeing them here, so hopefully get into that too. But yeah, it's been good to see them here. It's tough. It's tough because it's one game a year, and if you miss it, you miss it. Like, that's all you get. So it's either that or you drive to Chicago or Winnipeg, and I'm sorry, it's not that easy as going 45 minutes east to St. Paul. So,
Yeah, that's fair. Well, let's hear about one of your memories watching the Sens in Minnesota.
Yeah, so back 16-17, one of the best seasons I've seen, obviously. I was just turned 16, and I was at the game, and we were there probably an hour before before they came out and did warm-ups and all that stuff. But I had brought my Mike Hoffman card that I had because he was my favorite player, and I brought a Sharpie because you never know when someone will walk by and sign something. And I remember we were standing by the gate where they walk out onto the ice onto the bench. And I was talking to my mom, and I turned around, and I just see someone like leaning up on the boards, kind of like looking out, doing the pregame ritual, whatever you want to say. And I was like, I feel like I recognize that guy. And he's wearing, the gym shorts and the Sens locker room gear. And he turns around, it's Mike Hoffman. I'm like,
Nice.
All right, well, it's now or never, realistically. So. You take out the little Mike Hoffman card and my Sharpie, and he started walking back towards like the locker room. And I remember I was like, Mr. Hoffman, I was so starstruck. I was just like, I wasn't gonna be like, hey, Mike, like, how's it going? Just like, so, Mr. Hoffman, like, I was just absolutely be wild by it. But he signed my card, he signed my hat, and then he was just like, enjoy the game, stuff like that. And he just walked in. I get starstruck even thinking about it now because I was so just in awe by it. But yeah, that's probably my favorite one for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. Did they win that game at least? Did Hoffman get a goal, or how did that game go? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure we lost. by 1. Whenever I go see him in Minnesota, they don't do that well.
Damn.
But usually when they play in Ottawa, so when the Wild come to Ottawa, they play real well. I don't know if you guys remember that. I think it was the Turris assist against the Wild between the legs back, like
The Clark MacArthur.
Yeah, I was like, why can't he do that here? Like, why can't I see that here in Minnesota? But yeah, it's okay. So
Was it the 2017-18 season then? Because that was a 3-1
no,
loss.
it was 16-17.
Okay, so they got smoked. It was 5-1
Yeah,
loss, but
yeah,
2 goals in the third period. So, funny enough, Mike Hoffman scored the opening goal of the game, and that's all Ottawa got. So maybe it's a little
maybe.
after that.
Hell yeah.
In terms of obviously seeing them live, that's one thing. But what's the one Sens memory that is your most searched on YouTube that you'll go back and watch whenever you need to pick me up?
For me, it's the same season. It's 16-17 in the playoffs. It's either and it's Mike Hoffman again for one of them. It's the slap shot that he has just entering the zone, the pass from Clayson, and he doubles it off the posts. Beats Murray. I think it's like glove hand classic. But like that double post in the playoffs or the Phaneuf goal, I remember because I was just about to go to a concert actually. And I was watching the game, and my ride for the concert was in my driveway, and I'm like, just wait 1 second, I need to watch this. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but I gotta watch. And they scored, and I remember I was only like 2 minutes late to the concert, so it's
worth it.
But yeah, probably the Phaneuf goal or the Hoffman goal. Those are two of my favorite memories that stand out right now.
Classic Sens afternoon game in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, like what's up with these matinee games? Why they give us the prime time slot?
One day. Or just playing a team that will guarantee them the prime time. Yeah, Ottawa, Winnipeg always get the afternoon games in the most important game of the season. Now, I want to get your take on the team right now as it stands. Are they a playoff team in your mind?
I really want to say yes. I would absolutely love to say yes. And I remember
say yes. Come on, Dillon. Say it. It feels so good to say yes.
I think they are a playoff team. I think that with Korpisalo and the decor is just solidified. I really hope that I feel like Clevin will take some kind of jump here. And I also think that the pressure being put on JBD will kind of help him out a little bit, maybe like a little kick in the buns, we'll say. And I think it'll be good. I think a lot of people kind of forget, like when we're talking like forwards, like our core and everything, that like Timmy's going to take another step. Like Drake's going to take another step. Everybody's going to take that step that they kind of miss out on. And Drake
Brady
especially.
Too, right? Brady too, right?
Yeah, Brady for sure.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, doesn't he even need a step though? Like he's the things you could say about Brady, man. It's just like you can never run out of words for the man.
Yeah.
And I say that like he's my age, so like I treat him like he's some like
Mr. Tkachuk, you would address him as.
Mr. Tkachuk. But, like
some people on this show, on this episode, are trying to discredit Brady Tkachuk. Can you believe that?
Who are these people?
That is slander. That is
what
such
is
slander. I did not discredit Brady Tkachuk. I argued that Tim Stützle was more valuable. I did not discredit Brady.
Right.
Where do you stand on that, Dillon? Who's the most valuable Senator, Brady or Timmy? It's hard to choose.
It's really hard because you have one guy that'll just absolutely take you by the ear and drag you into the battle, and even when you're not up for it, he'll take you into it. Or you have the guy that just sets the tone every game by example of his play and skill. So I don't think there's a wrong answer realistically, but I don't know. I think I'll go with Brady just because you need the heart and soul. I love Timmy. Don't get me wrong. I have both of their jerseys. I have Brady and Timmy's jerseys, and that will never change. But I think you got to give it to Brady.
You know what? Somebody who doesn't say Brady, you just got to look at them and say,
I don't even know what he's thinking. He's just a complete brickhead. He's got nothing up there. Bad guy, bad player, but what a joke he is.
What a joke he is. That's Brady's words, not mine, Pills.
All right. So while you guys discredit Timmy Superstar, the guy who led the team in points, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, either one is a good answer. So, final question for me here, Dylan, and thanks so much for joining us. This has been another awesome SensCentral Citizen segment. You mentioned that you want to say, yes, this team is a playoff team, but if you were to be able to confidently say, yes, this is a playoff team, if you're the general manager, what is the one move you want to make for the Ottawa Senators to make that answer much more confident?
Just one more piece to the forwards. Like, just nothing crazy, nothing flashy. Just like, I personally, I think you need a good third or fourth line guy that's like a little bit more seasoned in the NHL, who's not going to like take up all the minutes, take away your minutes from your top guys, your top six, whoever it may be. But I think you just need someone that'll kind of do what Brady does, but like at less of an expense. Like, I really like the is it Patrick McEwen, right? Patrick,
Zach.
I think. Zach McEwen. Sorry,
Yeah.
Zach, if you listen to this. I don't know if
No
but
worries.
I think you need a guy like that might just bring a little bit more skill, just to kind of set the tone a little bit more for like guys like Casty and Kelly, and those, and even Sokolov, just someone they can lean on, kind of the way like Timmy leans on Giroux. You just need that kind of thing on like your bottom six. Personally, that's what I would do. So you don't necessarily need a Tarasenko or anything. You don't have to be super crazy, and I don't want us to be a cat team. We'll say that.
Okay.
We get close, anyways. But yeah, so
Love it. For more from Dillon, you can follow him on Twitter and Insta, D_Jack26. Dillon, keep repping the Sens down in the great state of hockey in Minnesota. And we look forward to your return to the CTC. We got to get you back up to Ottawa and get you at a game. And hey, hopefully the boys can come through with a big win in Minnesota, something they haven't been able to do consistently in the last little while. Thanks for joining us today, man. Appreciate it.
yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was great.
Stick taps to Dillon for joining us. Really great conversation with him. Appreciate the time. And Pillzy, to end off today's show, we have to discuss who plays together next season. Do you load up the top line with Brady and Timmy, or do you put Norris back with Brady and let Timmy control his own line?
The issue with having Timmy control his own line, Ross, and this was something I was going to use in my argument, but quickly decided that it's not an argument in my favor, is faceoffs. Timmy is not quite where you want him to be in faceoffs. In fact, both Giroux and Brady took more faceoffs than Timmy, and both had better faceoff percentages. So, having said that, if you're going to do that, one of Brady or Giroux needs to be with Timmy. Not because I don't think Timmy can get there. I do think he can get there. But for now, I do think he needs some help in the faceoff dot. And either Giroux or Brady provides that for him.
But then what? So you're splitting up that top line no matter what, because with Josh Norris's shoulder, are you almost worried? But then again, Shane Pinto came back from shoulder surgery, and once it got strong, he took a ton of faceoffs this year. So are you confident with Josh Norris running a line without Brady or Giroux to help him out in the dot?
Well, no, I'll say the same thing. Josh Norris needs Brady or Giroux. So what I would do, Ross, if we're doing this, is go back to the OG line one: Brady, Norris, Batherson, and then Kubalik, Timmy, Giroux. I don't mind that.
That might be the top line, though, now.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the... what's the top line?
Good question. Well, know what? The top line is whatever line Brady Tkachuk is on.
I would say the top line is whatever line Tim Stützle is on.
I don't know about that. We'll continue this debate. We also have, we've got a great interview coming for you on Friday. We've got Kitchener Rangers analyst, and the Sens are becoming like Rangers Central. Dominic Kubalik, Donovan Sabrango. Also, who am I missing here? Most recent draft pick. Oh, man.
Andonovski,
thank you. And Thomas Amara. So yes. Lots of great insight we'll have with the Kitchener Rangers. We're looking forward to that interview coming up on Friday's show with our good friend, and my calendar's all over the place, Sean Fafaro is going to join us on that show. Pillzy, any final thoughts today?
Final thoughts for me is, Ross, it was weird not doing an episode yesterday. Not gonna lie, that you tweeted out the Phil Kessel tweet, and I kind of felt the same. Like, it was mid-afternoon, and I was heading to Toronto for the Jays game, and I was like, "This is so strange not having an episode today." But it is nice to have a bit of a break, and hopefully you guys aren't too starved for Sens content on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Well, I would like to call BS on anyone who said they listen to every minute of every show we've ever done. So if you're in need and it's a day that we're not putting out a new show during the off season, which is going to last until early September, because my final thoughts, I've got two actually.
Oh.
The Senators rookie tournament schedule has been released. It's going to be in Buffalo again. They play New Jersey on September 15th, Pittsburgh on September 16th, and then the Montreal Canadiens on September 18th. So we're looking forward to all that. We're also looking forward to this Friday when Ilya Samsonov will have his arbitration hearing that could impact what happens with Matt Murray, which could impact what happens with the Senators cap, which could impact what happens with Shane Pinto. So lots of chain reactions there. The team has filed for $2.4 million and the player has filed for 4.9. He's probably just going to point at his partner, Matt Murray, and say, that's what he's making or more. Why can't I make that much?
And that's what he's making with retained salary.
Yeah.
Woo.
Matt Murray's making $8 million in real money this year. Woo.
It's a lot of vitamins.
Kyle Dubas masterclass. For today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.